Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny. That is Sal, and that is Dylan. And this is another episode of Batwatch. I'm going to copy you.
Yeah.
Years. Nice.
Swear to us.
Swear to me. Okay. So I'm the guy that said I hate the Dark Knight trilogy. Why? Because we needed someone to hate it. So having rewatched this movie, I have key things I really disliked.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Okay.
But not all of it. Overall, I thought it was a great thing. But if this is your first time joining us here at Batwatch, we have been doing a rewatch of all of the Batman movies, which started with The Batman, and then we started all the way back at the comical ones and we're moving forward. We are now officially into the Dark Knight trilogy, and we're doing Dark Knight Returns. We don't do beat-by-beat reviews here
Just
because
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's just
Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight.
My bad. I hate the naming. I've always said
And
I
the
get
next
this.
Yeah,
one's
it's awful.
Rises.
Yeah. But anyway, we're doing just Dark Knight, but we don't do a beat-by-beat review here. We go through each of the core scenes. We basically talk about each actor, core scenes, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then that's our review. We just talk about the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just giving people heads up because I've even seen tweets now. Apparently, it's just so commonplace to go beat by beat for the movie and recap it while you're doing it.
If you don't have anything to say, it does pad time.
It does pad time
true.
entirely. But I have plenty to say about a series that I did not like when it came out. And I'm not against it, but we'll get to me last because I probably have more to say than anyone right now. Let's start with you, Sal.
I hadn't seen Dark Knight in a while, but I remember seeing it in theaters and I loved it. And then I bought it and I loved it. And I hadn't seen it for a couple of years. And in preparation for this, I watched it, obviously, as we all do, because why would we lie? And
I was literally watching it right before this.
yeah, I did
I
watch
watched
it
last
like
night.
I watched it a week ago, but it was great. Like I there are a few things where like if you watch it a lot, you will notice the seams, but overall it's so engaging and it's so watchable.
Yeah.
You know, like can you say that like Maggie Gyllenhaal sucks? Yeah, like but she's serviceable. In this movie, it's elevated. Like, when you just focus on her, it's like, nah, she's not great. You know, is Christian Bale's lisp distracting? Sometimes, you know, but, like, really, when it's all part of the patchwork, you're just like, wow. Like, especially Heath Ledger. I don't want to sound like a broken record when it comes to, like, Heath Ledger, but, like, he's captivating.
Yeah,
and
he's pitch
every
perfect.
scene he's in is
a knockout.
just, and it's so, like, it's such a shame, because, like, I remember when Jack Nicholson was Joker, it was like, wow, what a cool portrayal. What a new, fresh, interesting portrayal of the Joker. And then they kill him, and you never get to see what he does with more of that, right?
Right.
Same thing with Heath Ledger Joker. Unfortunately, tragically, he passes away, but, like, we don't get more. And I want to know what, like, another Joker movie would have been like. Like, how do you go bigger than that? But it also works as a thing, as like a capsule of like this one movie where you never get anything like it, you never sequelize it. It's just this thing. I think it's excellent. It's just excellent. The music, the editing, everything about it is just incredible.
Wasn't Heath Ledger supposed to be coming back for another movie, kind of like they did with Scarecrow at the beginning?
No, I think the plan was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I thought the plan was just the third one was going to be another Joker movie. Like
fair
just
enough.
no more Joker, and I'm
Okay.
like, yeah, I would be 100% okay with that. Although, you know, I'm sure then by that point, then people have been like, another Joker movie. I mean, come on, haven't we had enough of the greatest
I think
portrayal of Joker on
this
cinema?
was the start of that, because I think
Yeah.
this movie like really started Joker's kind of really cool if you do him right, and then
Yeah.
it didn't stop from there.
Well,
now people are tired.
Yeah.
Going a quick sidebar discussion to the Joker in general in comics. His whole thing was he would show up once in a while, and following this
Right.
movie, we have not stopped having the Joker.
Everywhere.
Nope.
8 Joker stories a year. There's 3 of them now.
Yeah, no, there's a Joker event every other year, and
Right.
in the comics and in the movies, Joker gets his own movie.
Yeah. Dylan, what was your opinions of this? Because this was your actual introduction to Batman movies, right? These two movies, and now we're in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, these two. I don't remember which one I watched first, and I'm sure I saw like some Batman
You
stuff
make
as a
me
child,
feel
but I don't
so
remember.
old. You make me.
I'm 14. Ooh, look at me.
No, don't. We are not spreading that rumor. You are not 14.
No.
We're violating labor laws here at Absolutely
Right.
Marvel and DC. I love this movie. This movie's really good. I've watched it quite a few times, and I think the main thing that I took away from it this time is the score is just like it's a very Nolan score. Like he always kind of has like the droning like big music, but it like never
Yeah.
stops in this
No.
movie. And it carries it in a way that kind of makes the movie feel huge. And
Yeah.
like it's constantly going to the point where like the big scene in the middle with the car chase when they're
With the
Joker's
trucks,
trying to
yeah.
get Harvey and all that. There's like no music in it for most of it, and
Right.
I see what they were trying to do, but I feel like because the rest of the movie had that music, it like felt weird.
Yeah.
And it just shows that like how different the movie would have been if they didn't edit the music in the way that they did. It just adds this, this spice on top of everything that was good about the first one with like performances and set dressing and stuff. And it's just a good time. The only things really I didn't like were I still don't like the Batman voice. I think it's distracting.
I didn't find it that bad this time. I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, it's
Towards
it's
the
weird.
end, I got used to it. But
Yeah,
at the beginning, it's like, oh, right, that's what he sounds like.
Well, it's a little more like he's doing it more than the last one. The
Yeah,
last
he really
one,
lays
definitely
into it this
is.
time, and I think this is where
He's
I started
out of
to
breath
have a lot
constantly.
of my issues. Yes,
Yeah.
that I think. Well, just to segue into mine before we go into each individual
Yeah.
part. I completely forgot about the first hour of this movie.
Right.
Like the mob fights, the Harvey Dent stuff, all that stuff. Like as far as my memory was going, this movie started with like Harvey saying he's Batman and moving on.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing in the front of this. So I forgot about the fun stuff like, oh, you want to make a new suit where you can turn your head. Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna get Batman is gonna come up with this crazy like alibi for Bruce Wayne that gets him to like Japan to
That's so great.
Yeah, like to hoist this guy back to Gotham. Like
That's the stuff that I lived for in these movies, where it was
Yeah.
like, how are they going to realistically make Batman stuff happen? And I loved it, where he's like, it explains Skyhook and the whole like recovery of Lau, the setup of Lau. It's really really cool.
yeah, I loved all of that, and I love that. This one I feel like didn't take it too far with the realism aspect of Batman. There was a couple things in here where you're like, right, they're trying to make a realistic superhero movie, like the Bat Bike doing like the straight up and turn around.
the Bat Pod.
Love
Yeah.
that
Such a dope ass reveal. Not only in the theater, that was one of those moments where like it's so rare, but like every once in a while it'll happen where I'm like, oh, that happened. I was
Right.
in the theater because you're just watching it spin. You're like, what is happening? And then boom, a motorcycle blasts out of it. And
Comes
you're
out.
like,
And that's
did they think of that before? Because it looks like it was built in.
Yeah,
That's also the one moment in that entire scene where a music swell happens, and they get
Yeah.
rid of it for some reason, like after that. But it's like dun-dun-dun, like the music happens as he shoots out of that thing, and you're
So
like,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, and then he uses it for like the rest of the movie series. It's just so cool.
course.
I did find it a little weird with like the Bat Bike and stuff. Like knowing how editing works now and knowing how movie production is made, that thing had to be moving like 10 miles an hour. The way there were so many sound effects to make you feel like
sure.
that Bat Bike was like, whoa! But
Yeah.
like you watch it, it's like, no, that's not going very fast.
I didn't even think of that. That's funny. I never even noticed it.
My biggest takeaway is I just don't like Christian Bale's Batman, I think. I think he did a great job with it in the Batman Begins, but this one I think he laid too big into the but it wasn't
Yeah.
just so much the garbled yelling, it was he was always out of breath. Harvey, I've got it. And he was always making this face when he did it, like, all right, Gordon, I've got
Yeah,
his
his
down.
mouth's always
He has-
open.
Yeah.
he has a weird mouth.
I don't like
true.
his portrayal of Batman, and I think that's what took me out of this so long ago. The attempt to make it realistic, the explosions happening throughout Chicago, where I was in my life at the time, and then on top of it, you got, I'm gonna get you, Harvey. I'm just like, and it's funny because if you listen to my Batman portrayal and all my Batman videos, I kind of do like a Batman gravelly voice too, but
Yeah.
I try not to go as far as,
Everyone should, I was thinking that too, because it's like the Batman should have kind of a voice, but
Yeah.
I think it's just too far here. And
I
like,
think
you know,
There's no template. Like they've never tried
No.
it before. So they're like, I don't know, he growls. And I heard that they did it in post-production too, like that it wasn't as extreme on the set than it was in PP.
that makes
but
sense.
like
There's a lot of ADR in this movie.
there's a lot of ADR in this movie.
Yeah.
But I it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, when you make a hilarious sketch about it, you notice it in a big bad way. But when
Yeah.
you are just watching the movie, you're in it. Like I I didn't think about it. By the time the end of it, the only time that I was like, was when he gives the speech to Joker, where he's like, "This city just showed you."
It's just so out of breath.
He's so
Take
out
a
of
minute,
breath.
Bruce.
And I think that's what really. See, I really didn't notice it that much till halfway. Natalie joined me halfway through this movie, and like the first thing she said was, "Why does he sound like that? He's always out of breath."
Yeah,
She liked it. She liked the movie, but she had the same complaints I did. And so by the end of the movie, she's kind of pointing it out, and then like that's when the face was the most obvious. That final speech to Gordon, where
Yeah.
he's just like.
Yeah.
The city needs someone. And I'm like, did you do this in one take? Did no one go, hey, Bale, you're making a weird face. Could we just like redo that portion?
There's no way that Nolan cares about that kind of stuff, because he
No.
he doesn't care about like weird voices, as you
Yeah.
can tell in the next one.
Yeah.
And ruining Bane forever. Oh, I'll never escape this. But I will also
now it's
point
in a
out,
cartoon.
yeah, it's in two cartoons, in the Lego thing and in the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Yeah.
I loved Jeffrey Wright in The Batman as Gordon, but seeing Gary Oldman as Gordon back again,
yeah.
He's so good.
he's so good.
I had the
These are
same
the best
thought. I
two
was
Gordons
like,
we've had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright is great, and I think he shines because of his relationship with Robert Pattinson's Batman in that
Yes,
movie.
absolutely.
But good lord, in a vacuum, Gary Oldman is perfect as
Pitch
Gordon.
perfect. I love it. I want to see more. And like, if they said, "Oh, we're gonna do a Gotham show," I'd watch that. But like, I wanted to see this Gordon in more Batman movies. Like, I wanted
Yeah.
to see,
Yeah.
and like, you're watching it grow, and you're seeing them like their uneasy, alliance, and how like by the end when he's just like, no, like your heart breaks for Gordon. He's like, why are we even trumping up Harvey
Yeah.
Dent at this point? Like, screw him. You're the hero, man.
Yeah.
No.
I actually forgot he faked his death. So when he died, I was like, wait, hold the hell, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
was
don't watch this movie
I
a
was
lot.
questioning it too because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, "There's, if he is dead, that's a horrible death because they just
Yeah.
like, it's like not."
That was my thought.
no
I'm like, I
pomp
don't
and
remember this at
circumstance
all.
about it.
Yeah. No,
And I was like,
it's
no,
just
he's
a-
not dead, but it took
It's
them a
Long
while
Halloween.
to get there. But
They did
great
Long
reveal.
Halloween, and they just did it again. That was one of those things where
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's Long Halloween. He's gonna
Fair.
come back in the SWAT suit. Okay, haha. Then he does, and I'm like, yay.
But yeah, I'd say my biggest complaint is that I also rewatching this kind of think like The Batman could have fit between these two movies. Like Batman Begins, The Batman, The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I don't know. The Dark Knight, he's still green. Like, he's still figuring it out. When he's in that, like, when he gets like bit by dogs, and he's like, I gotta have a problem
Yeah,
with
he
these
doesn't know how to
dogs,
handle
man.
dogs.
Yeah, well, like watching Batman like almost get his ass handed to him in a parking garage is just so inglorious and
Yeah.
so unexpected. It's just like, you ain't ready yet, Batman. But then you get those sweeping IMAX shots of him on top of buildings, and you're like, that's dope.
Yeah, I
dope.
wanted to ask because it depends on. I think it depends on the version that you watch. But the version that I watched, the aspect ratio did change for the IMAX
Yes.
shots, and I
Yes.
hated that.
I didn't
I
even
watched
you,
whatever
you
one's
barely
on HBO.
notice.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
If it was happening in my HBO version, I didn't even notice.
Same.
It's because the thing is those IMAX shots are so beautiful, but like
Yeah.
when the aspect ratio is changing that much, I think in a theater you probably don't notice it as much, but at home on a TV you definitely do.
Right.
Yeah.
And they choose. It's like pretty much every establishing shot of a building, even if it only lasts 3 seconds, is in
Is an
IMAX,
IMAX
and
shot.
it's like you're cutting too quick. The scene where it really worked was the car chase scene when that
Oh, yeah.
entire thing was shot in IMAX, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, that's good.
dope.
And every
Everything
shot
in
is
Hong Kong
beautiful.
was awesome. Yeah. No, every shot is gorgeous in this movie. Great cinematography.
So that I wanted to go into that then, because the flow of the movie, and like I said, by not remembering the beginning, I kind of forgot. This felt to me like a realistic attempt at kind of like the animated series. Like, we're going to do a Batman fun adventure. I also forgot Scarecrow was back in the movie.
Yeah, only for a minute, but yeah,
but he's
in it.
still there, and
one
I just
little scene.
I loved that scene where like the other Batman shows up, and he's like, "That's not him," and then like
No.
Batman, "That's him."
I liked it because it's one of those things that I've been asking for, especially in like 2008. By that point, I'm like, why don't they call back to the old villains? Like,
Yeah.
aside from a
Yeah.
costume hanging in a drawer, like, how about this? Like, bring Scarecrow back. He's trying his thing. Although I was disappointed he wasn't wearing a mask. I thought that was like his new thing, but like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I'll end my overall thoughts. We can move into each performance. But I think this is good. I liked Batman Begins. I'm definitely ranking them higher than I did back when like I saw them
saw 'em.
initially. I still liked the Batman more, and I still think Ben Affleck's Batman was like the best portrayal of Batman. And I will say, as much fun as I had with both of these movies, it may be because it was campy, I think I had more fun watching Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Like, just being like, what is even happening?
There's more to talk about.
Yeah,
like
give
those
me,
are.
give me more bad lines, Arnold
Yeah,
that's
Schwarzenegger.
true.
Those movies are eating junk food. And Dark Knight, I will say I love the Batman. I think Dark Knight is something else. I don't think it's like elevated. I don't think it's better than, but it is on the same exact level for me. Dark Knight and the Batman. And I will say, I occasionally will just rewatch scenes from stuff, and the whole warehouse takedown from BVS is one of the most comic book accurately spectacular Batman sequences in all of cinema history.
Well, that's what I wanted. That's what I was going to say, and I wanted to talk about this and see how you guys, if you agree or disagree with this. Everyone loves to rank Batman movies,
Right.
But having gone through each and every single one of these, and I've now seen every single one and refreshed my memories on the ones where I wasn't doing this as a job and watching them. Because with the Zack Snyder stuff, I was doing this as a job, so I kind of more analytically looked at these. I don't think you can actually rank the Batman movies because. Okay, you want to talk about Batman realistic kind of portrayal, like a darker gritty? Okay, well, in my opinion, it goes The Batman, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins. But you don't throw in the other ones. You want a comic book accurate Batman? That would be Batman v Superman. That would be like Justice League. Oh, Zack Snyder's version, not Joss Whedon's. But like that felt more comic booky. But
it felt more comic booky, but it also wasn't really Batman for me because he's also a murderer and he's a psycho and he brands people, which I think is repugnant.
And that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like different categories because then you move into, do you like 60s Batman, goofy Batman? That's the camp Batman. So we're going to throw in Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman fighting against a shark as Adam West, like which we do have to watch.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost impossible to really rank these because they're so totally different across the board.
Yeah, they're different genres, basically.
Yeah.
Like you're looking
Batman
at
v
completely
Superman is not the Batman or the Dark Knight.
No.
It's not.
They're not trying to be the same thing. They're trying to ape off it or replace it. Like you can see, like I remember watching screen tests for Christian Bale where they just put him in the Batman Forever suit.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, well, Warner Brothers, who gives a shit? But there is, in some way, I think Batman Begins has a toe dipped in the last one where they're like, because Warner Brothers is looking at Batman as like a James Bond franchise as opposed to like an adaptation of a comic book work. By the time we get to the Batman, that's over. By the time we get to the Snyderverse, that's over. They're not thinking about that anymore. Now, Warner Brothers is, because Warner Brothers is like, here's all the suits, and they're all looking at them. But as far as the filmmakers are concerned, like no one is looking at them as like well, we're paying off what happened here, or we're trying to, change what happened or move into another direction. Like they're just separate entities. They're all different and they're all in their own different genres. And so I think that's a fair assessment to make. An argument can be made there.
I having done all these, I see all those tier lists and I'm just kind of like, the fact of the matter is,
But what you like?
that's just it. The fact of the matter is, I'm not saying this is me because I definitely still think this is a better experience than Batman Forever. But there is an argument to be made for someone who just likes George Clooney's Batman.
Right.
There is an argument to be made for someone who's just like, I just like Ben Affleck's murderous Batman.
Yeah.
I just like Pattinson's green behind the gills Batman. There's an argument to be made each and every way because everyone likes to sit here and be like, no, my choices are the best options. And
Obviously.
if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. But the fact is, these are too different.
Yeah.
It's literally like trying to say, Dylan, do you like apples or oranges better? That's how different these feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like this whole conversation has just been Benny discovers nuanced criticism.
No,
He's like, wait a minute.
But the reason
on.
you're
Things
not
are
wrong, you're not wrong. But it's just because for the entire time I've been doing Comic Historian, the Batman has never been taken as different lists. It's always which is the best Batman,
Well, I think it's-
which is
yes.
the
You know.
best Batman movie.
Do the same thing with
It's
James
easy
Bond.
to
Who's the best
easy to like
Bond?
classify stuff like this in groups, but really like when it comes down to it, like this is why I refuse to ever give like point ratings to things or
Yes.
or like tier lists are fun visually, and I think they're a good base for discussion.
Yeah.
But that's not like posting an image of a tier list and it's like this is my thing. It's like that's kind of dumb because you're not.
Yeah.
What are you really saying there?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
it's the same with a point system. It's like if you want to make a fun video doing a tier list and the discussions therein and blah blah blah, cool. But like I don't know, at the end of the day, like, you know, exactly, like Batman movies are so varied and different, so many different genres. It's like what are you gonna what is the Avengers better than Seven? I don't know.
You're right. That's what it is.
They're two different things.
And that's just the realization that I've come to because it is just the Batman movies. It's not, like, I would agree with you, Dylan, if I was like, hey, let's rank, Midsummer's Night Dream versus the latest Avengers flick. We're going to have completely differing opinions on everything.
What do you mean? Those are the same movie.
Right. In their own way.
I don't know. It's just my reflection on the tier list and the issues and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and move into the actual overall plot. And we already talked about the plot, our opinions on that. So let's talk about the actors. Let's start with Maggie Gyllenhaal, so we can all talk about what I feel was kind of a wasted opportunity to not do anything.
This whole movie, I was like, I know they recast her, but I can't tell.
She's better than Katie Holmes, but that's and there's I didn't have I liked Maggie Gyllenhaal as an actor back in the day. Like, I was like, wow, great, what a good idea. She's a really terrific actor. But watching her again recently, there were lines where I'm like, is Christopher Nolan doing anything here? Like, is this one of those things where he's like, and you just say whatever? Because, like, there are actors in this movie where he clearly doesn't care. Or in either he's giving no direction or like Schumacherian direction. And it's really weird. Like, you get really great performances from like Michael Caine, Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Morgan Freeman. And then there's some actors that he's like, and you do whatever. Aaron Eckhart, he's doing an amazing job. But then there's Maggie Gyllenhaal, and she's like, Harvey may not know you well enough to know when you're making fun of him, but I do. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like, it's as terrible as Eric Roberts being in anything.
It was funny because Natalie came in right around like 10 minutes before the big bomb sequence where they were separated and, he becomes Two-Face.
Oh my God. My answer is yes.
Yeah, so
like, you're going to blow up.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
She's like, who is this girl? I'm trying to explain the plot of who Rachel is.
This is the lead and secretary. She's
great.
I'm like,
she's like, who is this girl? I'm like, well, she's supposed to be Bruce's love interest, but she's marrying Harvey Dent, and Bruce is trying to save her because he kind of loves her because she's the childhood love interest, but they're not together and they're not going to be together.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I feel like this. It's less of a problem with her acting, at least to me. I thought she did like a fine job with what she was given. I think the problem is that she's still in this movie. Like, this character doesn't need to be here.
And that's the point. Yeah, that's the point I was going to say is I was trying to explain it. She's like, well, is she important? I'm like, no, because it's going to be Catwoman next movie. And she hasn't done anything other than
dead anyway.
The one. She doesn't do anything but introduce him to Harvey Dent. Like, that's her entire point in this movie.
When they
and then as we're watching it, she blows up and she's like, wait, did she just die? I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, who cares? When they cast her, I remember when they announced the casting for Maggie Gyllenhaal, I was like, oh, that's awesome, because what they'll do, because she's such a good actor, is they'll retcon that she's actually Talia al Ghul. And then when she blew up, like, ninjas came in and took her. And then in the third one, she'll be Talia. And I was just hoping for more, because I'm like, could this please not be a one-to-one real life thing where, like, can Raish really be immortal, please? Like, can we do that? If we can have flowers that induce your greatest fears, we can say that the Lazarus Pit exists. And they're like, nah. And then I heard that, like,
if we could have a guy who's literally muscle and bone and walking around without going, ah!
Yeah, no pain medication, no skin grafts. By the way, that was dope. Let's switch gears a little bit. Aaron Eckhart is great and wasted. He's so good, and it's like, third movie is Two-Face. Third movie's Two-Face. And they're like, nah, how about the last act is Two-Face and he dies?
I think we got enough of him. At least for me, we got enough of him in this movie. But I think that he's really good, especially when he, like, in the second half of the movie where he gets unleashed. But I didn't. That was one of my third, like, only criticism about this movie is they're so like insistent that he is Gotham's White Knight and everything.
I know.
He's so good, but I don't think we got enough of that.
No.
For me to, like, be convinced that is the case.
No, Gordon and Batman are way less corruptible than Harvey Dent. Like, what are you talking about?
like if he's like all the stuff that they talk about with him, like calling him Two-Face and everything, it's like this guy seems like kind of an asshole. Like he's
right.
not,
Like he is
doesn't
he
seem like
is
a good
compromised sometimes.
Yeah. Right.
Like, but he is smart and he is able and he's pretty. So I guess we can like do that.
Yeah.
He's
more of a
the Two-Face.
symbol.
The Two-Face
point.
effect
I
was
get
great,
it.
by the way. I loved that.
Yeah,
effect.
it looks-
I thought
I-
it looked awesome. I mean, I know
Perfect.
it's like it's a little dated now, but like it's so cool.
Even dated though, because just rewatching it, I'm like, you could tell it's CG one because there's no way in
Right.
hell that would be any kind of practical. But at the
can't
same
be.
time, it just looks really good. My only disbelief is supposed to be realistic Batman. That's not realistic. He would not be just walking around. I don't care how crazy
Yeah, but it would be
you go.
weird if he's screaming all the time.
No, but don't make it don't make it look that
Nothing
good.
in this
Don't make
movie
it look
is
like
realistic.
a skull.
Listen,
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. I get that it's like grittier and it's real,
Right, but it's
more
not
realistic
real.
than the last ones. But none of it is. That's like saying
Yeah.
the Batman isn't funny, or that these movies aren't funny. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not as funny, or it's not as like schlocky and comic booky,
Right.
But it still is.
yeah, it has its humor.
I mean, it's still a guy in a bat suit running around trying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah.
pulled out of a building by a plane. He would be dead.
Oh, yeah.
There's no-
Yeah, there's something I wanted to mention because I was just like I observed it and I was like, oh man, I like that. And it's just that every interaction that Joker has with every character, he is telling them what they want to hear, and I think that's really kind of like awesome because at no point do you kind of get that Joker is authentic or honest at any point, and but he's so convincing. It's like there's this terrible movie called I think it's The Score with Brando, De Niro, and Edward Norton. It's a horrible movie, and Edward Norton plays he plays a con artist who impersonates a mentally handicapped janitor, but Edward Norton is too talented to unconvincingly play a mentally handicapped janitor. So, when he pretends to be the handicapped janitor, you are convinced as the audience member that he's actually really authentic at it, and you're like, oh, but like, that's so unrealistic in the context of the movie, because you're like, wait.
he wouldn't be this good at it.
If he was this good, he'd be at Juilliard. He wouldn't be stealing money from old people.
right.
And in this, it's like, wait, Joker is so convincing that you're like, oh, this must be his ideology, but actually, he's full of crap in every
Right.
in every instance. Like,
it's so well done in this movie. Like trying to, because that was one thing I was looking out for. Is like I don't really remember what the theme is or kind of what the point is in this movie.
because they don't say it every 5 seconds. They're like,
Yeah, exactly.
Fear.
But and there's many. There's quite a few, and
There's
they're
a
more
lot.
subtle. And I think that's perfect because the Joker
kinda
is in
nice.
this movie. And
Right.
and he like introduces chaos in a way that like if you sit, I guarantee you there's millions of YouTube videos out there of being like I cracked the code, like I know what Joker is doing in this
Yep.
movie, like he's anti-establishment and blah blah blah.
oh,
and
I've
it's
heard
there's
so many
tons.
theories
No.
over the years, like that he was a
None of
soldier
it.
and he was hurt, and like that.
Yeah,
was why he
exactly. It's
brings
like
up
it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
they do such a good job of like laying enough seeds to convince people in different directions to like make a solid argument. But because there's so many seeds for different arguments, it's like, oh, well, at the end of the day, you really have no way to believe like, oh yes, this is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah,
Right.
but it makes me
Unlike
wonder.
that Joker movie that I don't like.
Yeah, but I don't. The interesting thing is, right, because he manipulates Harvey, and Harvey immediately goes down the rabbit hole. He tries to manipulate Rachel when he's talking to her, and he's like, "Oh, I'll tell the sob story about the wife and the husband." When he's talking to the cop in the interrogation room, and he manipulates him into attacking him.
Yeah.
But when he's talking to Batman, like when he meets Batman, he does change his whole plan.
Yeah.
So is that the real him? Or is he manipulating Batman? Like, is he like, Batman wants an arch nemesis? Like, because he's trying to give them he gives the mobsters.
He's
like,
appealing to
oh,
his
like,
ego.
Is he appealing to
Yeah.
his ego, and is he doing it on purpose, or is he just accident? Because at the end, he's like, when he's upside down and he's just talking to him, I'm like, is this him too, or is this fake? Because like,
Yeah.
he hits him with like pipes and dogs. Like he wants him to die. Like when he shows up, he goes, "Oh, you're here. I'm so thrilled." And I'm like, don't you love him or want him to be here? Like that is in direct contrast to the interrogation scene where he's like, "No, you complete me." But then it's like, do you? Or are you just like, no, you need an arch nemesis. I'll pretend
so
to be that
perfectly
to
confusing.
manipulate you. It's
Right.
great. It's just-
I
love it.
I think that's why Heath Ledger is great in the Joker role because the fact of the matter is, for 15 years or so, however long this movie, it came out 2008 July. I have
Yeah.
to double check it. no one's truly known what his overall goal was. It was just to create chaos.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's
So
why
they say
so
that
many
in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Well, they do,
people still
yeah,
don't
but-
believe it. He's like,
No,
"Oh,
they
that doesn't
don't,
make
and
sense."
I feel like that's where a lot of because I remember following this movie, there was a lot of the 14-year-old kids that are like, the Joker gets me, just like they had, just like in 2019's Joker, where they're like, the Joker gets me, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think you
Yup.
want to be saying that.
That's
I
a
don't,
shame.
No.
But I think that's where he's just sowing chaos, and the more chaotic it gets, the better.
Yeah.
I don't
And it's
think
like-
he has a goal of I really want to get at Batman, or I really want to get at this, because
Well,
he kind of gets to more crazies like me are going to come out, and I
Yeah.
think that's the point. You are putting on a bat suit, so I'm gonna be the clown that is chaotically messing with you.
That's such a
Right,
cool
right.
way to write this, where it's like, yeah, he's an agent of chaos, and we get that, and that doesn't make any sense.
Right,
in-
because
if
why?
you're-
Why does he care
but
about
The question is
Gotham?
why. But because this is a comic book movie about comic books, there doesn't have to be an answer, and that's
No.
I
Yeah.
think this is such a surface level obvious take about the Joker, but when you start trying to answer the question of why, the character falls apart.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
a different thing. That's
Yeah.
not what this character is for. So
Yeah.
Batman is he's so consumed by specifically avenging this one act and just fighting crime with this purpose. He's so filled with purpose that an arch nemesis that is filled with nothing is so perfect. And when you
Yeah.
give him something, you ruin him.
Well, and he artificially inflates himself with something in every interaction he has, so it makes he's able to be everyone's arch nemesis in this movie, which is pretty
Right.
But yeah, he's great. Michael Caine's great. I liked him a lot in this movie. He's completely turned in the third one. The third one, he's like, oh. In this one, he's like, no, I'm in. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Burma, a tangerine. Yeah, that's a really fun
story.
scene though, where he's like, I was in Burma. We were flushing out this bandit. I'm like, what were you doing in Burma?
Yeah. I also love
we
the
there?
lines. I just love he also has a little bit of humor to him, when they're on
Yeah.
the yacht with the Russian ballet.
Apply your own bloody suntan lotion.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's like, how do I say in Russia?
I'm so glad
Yeah.
they didn't make him horny. I was so worried for a second when he looked back. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be all right."
Boing,
It's
boing,
like,
boing,
no.
boing, boing.
He's
no.
pissed that he has to do this. It's
Right. He's
cool,
like, no, I'm
good.
surrounded by these useless models.
The
Great.
best
Like
part is
Alfred, a
it was
creepy
his
old man.
idea.
Yeah.
It was his idea. He's the one that arranged that.
Yeah,
It wasn't
that's
like
true.
Bruce is like, we're gonna go on a trip with all these Russian ballet dancers.
That's
it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
There's
did great with it though. Lucius Fox, I think, really amped
Morgan
up in
Freeman's
this one.
great. Yeah,
I
nailed it.
I
He's
don't know
fantastic.
why it's there, other than to add to the realism. But the guy that figured it out and tried to blackmail Lucius Fox.
Oh, Arthur Reeves, the
Coleman
Joshua
Reese.
Harto actor. Yeah.
It was such a
What a
weird thing because I
weaselly
love his
little dude.
response of, "Oh, you think he's a vigilante and you're going to try to blackmail him?" I would have responded with, "Yes, that's the idea."
Yes.
So give me $10 million.
I like that scene. I thought that worked really well. He's like, the guy's gonna beat you to death if you try to blackmail him.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
It's
and
like
he's
you-
rich, and he's like, he won't go to jail. He's just gonna get you.
Consider
And it's
what
like,
you're doing right
Fair.
now for just
Right.
a second.
yeah,
But it also
he's-
kind of
okay.
answers how does Bruce build all of this and keep everyone quiet?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I like that scene though because it also drops the information about him building the cell phone
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's
Sonar network.
that was a great way to explain it. They set up the technology, they showed how Batman's secretly setting it up, and then it's paid off. And it's like, that's really cool. Yeah, there's some other people in this that I don't really care for. Obviously, I didn't like any of the actors who played characters that Nolan doesn't care about. The mayor, Nestor Carbonelli, Carbonelli.
Mayor's weird in this.
He's Batman in the Tick live-action TV show. He does not wear eye makeup, despite the fact that he's clearly wearing eye makeup. I looked this up. I was like, what is up with his eyeshadow? And it's
Yeah.
apparently he has really, 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 really dark eye lines. It's just,
Does he?
It's just a genuinely, it's just a weird phenomenon. But he's...
Interesting.
It's so weird because he's a parody of a Batman character in the Tick live action show, and he's in random stuff. But why was he the mayor? Is he the mayor because he
Yeah.
played a parody of Batman in a show nobody watched? I don't know.
I wasn't a fan of like the entire mob. The
The
whole
mobs are
Mahoney's and-
terrible.
They're just
I
terrible.
love them. I don't know.
They are cartoon characters. Like I think that's the
Yeah.
thing, right? Like I think Nolan's trying to say that where he's like, no. The ones I take time and
goofuses.
effort into are the cartoon characters, but
Right.
the real cartoon characters in this are the mobsters we don't care about. Like, why did you cast Michael J. White, a stuntman and action star, to be in a suit and not move for the whole movie?
To be
like,
angry.
just for his acting skills. I mean, like, I'm not ragging on him. He's a fun actor. His Black Dynamite is superb. You know, he's Spawn, but like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
he ain't the mobster. Eric Roberts is, horrible. Richie Coster as the Russian one, who's like, my dogs are hungry. I'm like, you're terrible. You're Watto from Phantom Menace. And everybody else. Oh crap. At least Falcone wasn't in it.
Falcone, you mean Falcone?
Yeah, right. Falcone.
Dent said Falcone. The first time anyone says it in the movie, Dent says Falcone, and then 30 seconds later says Falcone.
I know.
So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, because it's just about how you pronounce it. It doesn't really matter. But like,
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, it's weird. They're terrible, but whatever. They're window dressing. They're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
That we got also comic book ties. It's clearly like an homage to like all kinds of comic books. Long Halloween, most of all. From the money pile to the James Gordon subterfuge to the like 3 men on the rooftop making a pact to stop the main bad guy. Like there's a lot of cool stuff.
It's
in there.
weird the amount of Long Halloween references we've gotten in like this movie and
The Batman.
And they made Long Halloween into 2 movies.
Right.
Like,
Yes, I remember when this movie came out. It also was packaged with like a copy of Long Halloween, which I think they did again in the Batman. Which I was like,
They really
I like
that
Long
comic.
Halloween, but I wouldn't
like it
consider
too.
it like the seminal Batman story. Like you
It-
got
Sure.
it's up there though. Like,
It is up
like,
there,
top
but
5.
to make 2 movies like that are like referencing it and
I
being
know.
a part of it and making it its own movie.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's like, guys, you could do other things.
Yeah, Batman has had more than Long Halloween.
Yeah, yeah. You could-
I really like that the comic booky stuff like isn't like in a world today where we just saw Doctor Strange, and I won't spoil it in case anybody's seen it, but like the comic book stuff is so
Yeah.
in your face and obvious. In this movie, it's just like it's subtle to the point where when he got like the white eyes,
Yeah.
I was a little distracted. I was like,
I didn't
oh,
even-
comic books.
See, for me, I didn't even
loved that.
care. I thought that was just fun because I was like, that's
And
cool.
Yeah, it
my
was
first
cool.
thought was, I gotta actually look this up because I didn't know what day it came out. But my first thought when I saw the white eyes was 1, it's like the comic books. 2, is that why in the game he has that sonar? Where he can see everything, because that's like 2011.
It
So
could
I
have
gu-
informed it big time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, with
Possibly.
this came out 3 years before, so I guarantee when they were making that game, they're like, "How do we make him a detective? Use the sonar from that movie."
Right. I mean, the fact is, like, how do you gamify detection?
Yeah.
All you have to do
Yeah,
is just make
I
it-
always felt that was more of a game mechanic thing. Where it's just like we need like a way to make.
But
it
you
easy
could
to
have done
see
it in any
things.
way. It literally
It's true.
goes white eyes and
Yeah.
scans the
Yeah,
environment.
fair.
Like,
Visually,
No.
probably inspired. Definitely.
yeah.
yeah. But otherwise, I mean, it sets up a lot of cool stuff. I love the ascension of Gordon as commissioner in this movie. I'm like, finally,
Yeah.
we're not wasting any
Yeah.
more time. Killing off Commissioner Loeb, but keeping him around until they kill him off. Like, that's fun. There's a lot of like really fun stuff in there that I enjoy quite a bit. And the status quo of the ending is one of those things that annoys me. But like,
That's
only
fair.
as much as I'm annoyed because I'm invested in the plot, and I'm like, this is
Right.
stupid. You guys are stupid.
Yeah.
Like I get it, but I think it would have hit more if I was sold more on Harvey Dent being like
Yeah.
such a good guy.
And
Yeah.
the fact that like no one has any faith in anybody in these movies, where they're just like,
No.
people lose hope. Like
Yeah.
when they find out that Harvey Dent was horribly mutilated and his fiance was murdered, they're gonna definitely lose faith in people. And I'm like, are they? I mean, you got Batman.
They didn't show enough of also like the people of Gotham believing in Harvey. Like it's just we're just
No.
kind of told that he's great and everyone loves him and he's the
Yes.
savior of Gotham, and it's like I don't
God
know.
knows we need him now. Did
I
you-
don't believe you.
No. Okay, let me just ask you this question because
Sure.
it occurred to me every time I see this movie. The boats, so the Green Goblin choose boats sequence. I assume that they all have the detonator for their own boat.
Yes.
Okay.
That's yeah.
They never said it though, but I was
No.
thinking the same thing. I'm
Okay,
like,
I had the same thing.
That's what
I-
that's what the Joker would do. I mean,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
Well, because
if
he did it. He did it with
right.
with Rachel and Harvey, where he said
Exactly.
He said, I loved that moment when they don't blow up, and he goes, you got to do everything you're saying. He goes, it's a funny world we live in, where like he's just a hypocrite asshole.
Yeah, of
He's
course.
like, well, it didn't work. I guess I gotta blow him up. Like I gotta pick one, to make everybody lose it. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's the one like ground he gives up. Like that's the one moment where you actually see him lose. Is in that moment where he's like the Grinch,
Damn.
and like the people of
He didn't kill
Whoville are all
himself.
still singing and dancing, and he's like, nah, it's great.
I do feel like the scene on the boats, the way it was set up, probably my second only real major complaint, felt like a little bit of padding on Christopher Nolan's part to kind of like, I'm trying to say something here.
Yeah, he
Because
is.
both boats have somebody that gets up and says,
Yeah.
I'll take care of this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the crooks throw it out the window,
Yeah.
and the high rich corporate guys like, I can't do it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that was just that was stretched out so long.
Yeah, well, that's
that
the
I was
tension.
like-
I think they're like, this
Yeah.
is the message of the film.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah,
way,
I liked it.
main criminal is the president of the world in Fifth Element.
Is he?
Oh, is
Yep.
that true?
Yep.
I
that guy.
recognized him from somewhere.
Yeah, he's that
But
guy.
yeah, to me it was that, and then just the overall Christian Bale Batman. I don't like his Batman. I think he's like. That's
fair. I don't like his Bruce
And you're right.
Wayne.
It's worse than now.
I like
as
his Bruce
15
Wayne a
years later,
lot.
it's all.
I
yeah, his
see.
Bruce
That's
Wayne
I
works.
think that's just a difference in personal taste because I get that like you want to really separate Batman and Bruce Wayne, but to me it's
Yeah.
like I'm just annoyed at like billionaire. Like I know this isn't who you are. Like you don't have to be like
No.
an asshole and like a misogynistic douchebag. I'm like
Right.
I don't want to see that.
I'm late to my own party because I had to take the helicopter. Here are my babes, and then they just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
go
three
away.
women that I'll never see again.
That moment
even-
though where he
it's-
goes to the
it's-
panic room and just bails on them because he's putting on his
really
Batman
funny.
suit, but they're like, "Oh, that totally tracks. We're so
Yeah,
stupid."
no,
Yeah.
I loved that. That they're like that totally tracks. I don't know. I found the Bruce Wayne portrayal. The Bruce Wayne was really good, but I do agree with you. I don't feel like he needed to be such an asshole across the board.
I had
So
no problem with
pig-headed.
that.
But even in discussions with like Harvey Dent, where he's like, "I'll throw you a charity," and Dent's
Right.
like, I'm not even. And he's like, "With my friends, you'll be fine." Like,
It's like,
I'm
what friends?
awesome.
You
You don't
insulted
get it.
all of them at your birthday party. Remember? You called them all
Yeah, it's
sycophantic
true.
phonies.
Yeah, but he's
But
Bruce
that's the
Wayne.
thing is that they
Everybody loves him.
are sycophants though. That's the point.
They'll be back.
He called them all toolboxes to their faces and made them leave his house. And then the next year, he invited them to a fundraiser for some district attorney, and he got their money. Like,
Yeah.
they are sycophants. That's so great.
so
Anyway,
well,
fun
they all
movie.
just chalked it up to him being drunk there. Like, oh, you
That's
were
right.
drunk.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like, whatever.
But I think, you
Yeah.
know, like, but it is really well done for what it is. Like, it's
Yeah.
very well executed. I just don't want to see that.
Right. That's fair. All right.
It's not my preferred version of Bruce Wayne. Like, I don't really know what, I think, like, my perfect Bruce Wayne is, like, Batman does the stuff that Batman can do, and then Bruce Wayne is, like, following in his father's legacy. And is, like,
Animated
doing-
series Bruce Wayne is my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Oh
that,
yeah,
so
no.
I don't know what-
I think we can all agree. Kevin
the-
Conroy's still the
There's
best.
a great
of them all.
moment in the Batman animated series where because he is like a playboy and he does play it up, but he also like he is a person. And there's a great
Yeah.
moment where like
He's not a
there's crime.
caricature.
Yeah, there's a crime doctor who like is it's called the Crime Doctor. It's a great episode, but at the end of it he basically like puts up the cash for this like for the lawyer for the crime doctor because the crime doctor does the right thing at the end, and and he's like, but I do want you to do something for me, and the crime doctor's like, oh, of course you do because you're Bruce Wayne and you want me to like I'm not taking any more payoffs, and he goes, no, you knew my dad, tell me about him.
Yeah, I
And
remember
that's
that one
nice.
actually.
It's like
I like
that's
that.
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Batman.
I think. Yeah, well, no, I think we're at a good point. Like, I mean, what have we missed? What have we really? Because the problem is with Dark Knight, and I knew this was going to be a problem. We got to this point in the Bat Watch.
Right.
This has been so talked to death.
right,
Like,
everyone's
this
talked
is-
about this movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's still interesting to have the perspectives that we have with.
Oh
with
yeah. I
the-
mean, I didn't
obviously,
cancel the episode.
yeah. Well,
Well, I'm just wondering what
contrasting
else
it-
is there left to talk about though at this point.
Nothing.
I don't think much.
mean,
I think we covered like that's what I was gonna say is like the unique perspectives of having watched this after watching the Batman. I think we talked about that a lot, and
Yeah.
differences therein. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've talked about how we love this movie for like 40 minutes now. So
exactly.
Yeah.
It is a good movie
Yes.
I just said
Still.
at the end of the day, I rank it. I don't know. I still don't rank it super high because it's just Christian Bale. I feel after 2.5 hours at that point, I was just like noticing his portrayal of Batman to be
That's
like,
fair.
all right, just stop.
Yeah.
Take 2 seconds.
The thing for me was
Breathe.
just the romance plot where I'm like, after she dies, let it go. And I don't care
Yeah.
for the, like, Alfred burning the letter to preserve her memory, only to then undo it at the end of the last movie. Like, I was just like, this is, who cares? You killed her. You did us all a favor. It's
move
done. We're moving on. He's Batman forever now. Oh, like, that's, we don't care. Like, him being like, no, I believe in Harvey Dent because then I can get laid. Like, you don't understand.
Yeah, it's such
I
a
can quit
weird,
being
like,
Batman so
motive.
that Harvey can take up all the like hard work that I'm doing. Like, no, that's not Batman. But it's all window
Also,
dressing.
it was, I don't know, it was just weird that whole idea that like Harvey Dent, the DA, is going to do what Batman should be.
Right.
Wait, so Batman should just be the government? This doesn't track.
Yeah, like you should
That's
run for
especially
office then.
when like that's the message with like that's another reason why the Bruce Wayne stuff bothered me so much is like Batman's whole thing is like this guy's doing it right, and it's like, hey, Bruce Wayne exists and has a lot of money. You could do it right.
Yeah, but he does it. Then they do it in the third movie, and it's so annoying. Where he's like, the police department could use some of that technology, and it's like, shut up.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Congratulations, you've made the most boring Batman adaptation ever.
I mean, that goes back to the Michael Keaton one in Batman Returns, where he's just arguing and like that's what I would want to see Bruce Wayne do with the money. Like, no, we're just gonna get you get you pulled out by the mayor and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? Like, now we're in a different discussion. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of Bat Watch. We're going to watch Dark Knight Rises. Did I get the name right this time?
Yes, you did. You did.
I think so.
Okay, we're gonna watch that one next, put that one out, and then we're gonna move on to Lego Batman, and then we're gonna start moving our way. We'll probably go Lego Batman and then 60s Batman. Have 2 goofy ones right in the middle.
There we go.
We'll
Yeah.
move through some stuff.
Perfect.
Good.
But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I'm Benny. That is Sal. That is Dylan, and we will all see you next time right here at Batwatch at Absolutely Motherland DC.